Hi, I'm Jack, and welcome back because today I'm going to give you guys my top 10 best movies of 2022. It has been a really good year for movies, especially for the horror genre, and because we are now at the end of the year, I'm going to give you guys my top 10 best movies I have seen so far this year. And before I get started, to let you guys know, let me know down below in the comment section what are your favorite movies of the year. You can just give me your number one or your top five. I'd love to know down below in the comments. There are some really good movies that came out this year, so I would love to know in the comments what's your favorite. And this is all my opinion. This is all subjective. Some movies on the list you may have heard of, some I've reviewed, some I have not, so just keep that in mind heading into this video. And please don't be mean in the comments about whether you disagree with a placement of mine, because it's movies, and I'd love to know your take down below in the comments. And before I get started talking about my top 10 best movies of the year, I just want to let you guys know I'm going to have some honorable mentions to list. And so with that said, here are some honorable mentions of the year. Violent Night, Scream, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, The Black Phone, Prey, Bullet Train, Jackass Forever, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, X, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, The Menu, Nope, Elvis, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, Barbarian, and Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. All the movies I mentioned in my honorable mentions segment I love, and now that the honorable mentions is out of the way, let's kick off with my top 10 favorite movies of the year. And in 10th place, we have Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. This has been a pretty average year for comic book movies, aside from two, another one you'll see higher up on the list. But this is the most fulfilling Marvel movie that came out this year. Coming off of the death of Chadwick Boseman, Marvel and Ryan Coogler have been dealt the worst hand possible, where they lost their lead star and they had to figure out how are they going to tell the sequel to the Black Panther movie and make a story with these characters. And they managed to make an amazing an emotional tribute to Chadwick Boseman, but also make an amazing Black Panther sequel that continued the storylines of that first movie, and it made the supporting characters some of the best in the MCU. Letitia Wright is phenomenal as Shuri, and I love seeing her arc as we see her grow from being this nerdy sister from the first movie to being this full-fledged lead character dealing with loss. And everybody across the board is fantastic, especially Angela Bassett, who delivers one of the best performances in the movie, and Tenoch Huerta as Namor. Everybody here is across the board phenomenal, and it has some of the most beautiful visual effects I've seen in a movie this year. It has a terrific score by Ludwig Göransson, and the action sequences are really good, but it's also a movie that does a good job at balancing spectacle and excitement, while being a movie that deals with loss and grief and tragedy. And it's a beautiful tale that moved me. And I absolutely love what Ryan Coogler and the crew were able to pull off. They tributed Chadwick well. They had a satisfying reveal for who picks up the mantle of Black Panther. And I was really happy with what they did with this movie. So in 10th place is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. In 9th place is RRR. This movie is one of the biggest surprises of the year. I've just remembered hearing people talk about it online, saying how, oh, this is the next big thing. This is an amazing movie. People got to check it out. And I watched it on Netflix back in the summer, and I was blown away. This is some of the best action sequences I've seen this year, but also one of the best action movies I've seen of the past couple years. I love the relationship and dynamic between Raju and Beam. It's so heartfelt and sincere to where it gets over the top and wacky with the sequences, but it never loses sight that it's a story about friendship, and so as having a lot of beautiful messages in there about fighting for your family, fighting for your people, and being good friends with one another. And it's such a heartfelt movie where you'll have some intense sequences where characters come to very devastating realizations on what's going to happen next, or characters are dancing, and it's such a fun movie. There's so much heart and spectacle, and this is a movie that we don't get as much of nowadays, and I hope we get more like it, because this movie is an achievement. It's so much fun. It utilizes the 3-hour runtime very well, and I was never bored throughout this movie. I cared about the characters, I cared about the situations, and I was rooting for our characters to take down the villains in the movie. And there's so much heart and things in this movie that made me so happy and uplifted while also being really shocking at the same time. This movie is one of the most epic movies I've seen all year, and I hope you guys will go check it out soon, because RRR is definitely one of the best movies I've seen all year. In 8th place is The Northman. I love this movie. He's made The Lighthouse, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, and one of my favorite A24 movies. And he's made The Witch, which was Anya Taylor-Joy's feature-length debut film, which I really liked, although it was pretty much traumatizing with the ending. But The Northman is by far his most accessible movie, but it's still just as good as his other works here. Right now we have a Viking story about a prince who goes on a vendetta to kill his uncle after his uncle murdered his father. And I was compelled from start to finish with this movie. I was invested in this revenge mission Prince Amleth is trying to go on. Alexander Skarsgård is terrific as this character, and all the actors all across the board are really good, especially Anya Taylor-Joy and Nicole Kidman. And the cinematography is gorgeous in this movie with the practical locations and how they bring the story to life. It has very lively locations, and it really makes you feel the tension, the stakes, that you know what the goal is, you know what needs to be accomplished, and how is the character going to get to that point. And there's a lot of shocking revelations and twists and turns that had me at the edge of my seat, and I was so surprised with the direction things went. And we had an epic third act where things are coming down, and we had two guys fight naked on a volcano, which is not something I expected to see all year, but it was glorious nonetheless. This is a really fantastic movie with fantastic action sequences, compelling characters, a engaging story with some beautiful cinematography and performances. And Robert Eggers is once again 3 for 3, and he has made another fantastic movie with The Northman. In 7th place is Babylon. This movie being polarizing was definitely not on my bingo card this year. But Damien Chazelle is back. Is this movie as good as Whiplash or La La Land? No, it's not on that level. But this shows me that Damien Chazelle has definitely grown as a filmmaker. He's able to make much more complex and bigger movies than ever. And this is a movie that feels like an antithesis to La La Land, where if La La Land paints Hollywood in a very positive light, Babylon paints it in a negative light while being both a love letter and a critique of it at the same time. It does not shy away from a lot of the issues that happened back then with racism and so as like people getting killed on sets or anything. It doesn't shy away from a lot of these things that happened here, and because it also captures how crazy of a time this was for Hollywood, where people were desperate to find success and people went to some of the darkest places to do so, and how people were successful or failing during the transition period from silent films to talkies. It's a really good movie, and it's definitely his most ambitious movie. The performances here are all across the board spectacular. Margot Robbie delivers her best performance to date as Nellie Leroy. Diego Calva is spectacular as Manny Torres, and he has a very bright future ahead of him. And I loved Brad Pitt as Jack Conrad here. This is a very well-crafted movie, from the gorgeous production design and the amazing score by Justin Hurwitz once again. Damien Chazelle made a much more mature movie than he's ever made, and he's had some of the most wildest scenes all year with stuff that happened in this movie, especially a scene with a snake. But overall, I love Babylon. The more I think about it, the more I like it. So in the end, Babylon isn't as good as his best works, but it's still a really good movie from Damien Chazelle. In 6th place is Glass Onion: A Knives Out Mystery. Knives Out was one of the biggest surprises of 2019, and for years I've been really excited to see what Rian Johnson and Daniel Craig have in store with this movie, and the sequel is just as good as the first movie. It has a really good ensemble cast with Leslie Odom Jr. and Edward Norton and Dave Bautista and Catherine Hahn. Everybody here is so good as these characters. The production design is gorgeous. I love that a lot of it's set on this island with the glass onion, and it critiques rich people and billionaires, and also having jokes because of the fact that it is set during the time of the COVID pandemic. And Daniel Craig is once again amazing as Detective Benoit Blanc, as he just once again gets to spend more time as his character. We get to see a lot more of him here. He's funny, he's charming, he's witty. The dialogue is very well written, and I love the twists and turns that play out. And so is that it tries to do a different way of telling a murder mystery story than what Knives Out did. And I was so compelled by this movie from start to finish. It had all the things I love about Knives Out, and it's a much different movie in a way where you got the really good writing, you got the really smart dialogue and fantastic performances, and it's humorous in a good way, has a lot of funny moments while also being very shocking and full of twists and turns that work so well. And it had a fantastic third act, one of my favorites of the year, where everything comes crashing down. Glass Onion is a fantastic sequel and continues to show why this has potential to be the best murder franchise based off of murder movies in a very long time. And I hope we get a lot more of these, because I love what Rian Johnson and Daniel Craig have in store with these Knives Out movies. I love Knives Out and I love Glass Onion, and I cannot wait to see more stories with Detective Benoit Blanc for Knives Out 3. In fifth place is Avatar: The Way of Water. I can see this movie potentially going up a few spots over time, because the more I watch it, the more I love it. James Cameron shows once again why he is the master of blockbusters and a master of sequels. He's made Aliens, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, some of the greatest of all time, and now he's made Avatar: The Way of Water. The visual effects and cinematography, what more needs to be said? It's the best I've seen all year, with how they were able to make it so convincing that they brought all these things to life, from the Na'vi to Pandora to the underwater areas of Pandora and the creatures. It's amazing how in 13 years' time we got to see the sequel to Avatar, and it's even better than the first movie, as much as I did really like it. And James Cameron is able to tell a story about family that's compelling. It's full of heart and sincerity, and I was connecting with these characters so much that when twists and turns take place and dangerous things happen, I was scared for these characters. And Miles Corrich is one of the best villains I've seen all year, played wonderfully by Stephen Lang. And it's so well directed by James Cameron, and it shows you once again why James Cameron still has that magic within him, and you just don't bet against him at all. Avatar: The Way of Water is a phenomenal sequel. It's better than the first movie, and it's one of the best blockbuster movies I've seen of all time, with fantastic performances from Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, Sigourney Weaver, Kate Winslet, Britton Dalton. Everybody here is so good. There's so much heart in this movie. And in the end, it's such a satisfying experience watching this on the biggest screen possible. And even though I'm not a big 3D person, this is a movie that I cannot imagine watching in 2D. So with that said, Avatar: The Way of Water is a movie I've been waiting for a very long time, and it was very much worth the wait. And I cannot wait for the future of the Avatar franchise with Avatar 3. In fourth place is The Fabelmans. Steven Spielberg is one of my favorite directors of all time, and I've been really excited for this movie for a while, and it surpassed all of my expectations for it. It is really great, especially because it's a semi-autobiography of Steven Spielberg's life as he discovered his passion for movies. And what makes it even better is when you know it's based off of Spielberg's life loosely, it's even better for it, because this is a satisfying journey of watching young Sammy Fabelman grow from being this little kid who discovers his passion for movies, and he ends up going on this path of becoming a filmmaker. And this is one of the most satisfying movies I've seen all year. It's funny, it's heartfelt and sincere. At points, I am so happy and joyful for Sammy Fabelman, and at other times, I am heartbroken and devastated with events that take place and a lot of the revelations that take place in this movie. It is such a beautiful film. It's shot very well. It's very beautifully shot, and I love the score by John Williams here. And even though, yes, it is a 2.5 hour long movie, I was never bored once. I was so invested in the story, and I was so able to connect with Sammy Fabelman in ways, see his life, and how Steven Spielberg really loosely adapted aspects of his life when making this movie. And it's a beautiful story about following your dreams, to never drop your passion. And this is a movie we needed right now, and it really disappoints me that it bombed, because this is a phenomenal film. This is one of the movies this year that moved me the most. And Steven Spielberg proves once again why he's one of the best to ever do it. And the ending is one of the most satisfying things I've ever seen this year. And this movie's never left my mind since I saw it. And I hope you guys will go check it out, because in fourth place is The Fabelmans. It is a masterful film. In third place is Everything Everywhere All at Once. This is a massive surprise this year. I didn't hear about this movie till early this year. I went to go see it with my mom, and it was amazing. It is a masterful film with phenomenal performances by Michelle Yeoh and Ke Huy Quan, who returns to acting after so many decades later. And it was so good to see him back, and so as from Stephanie Hsu and Jamie Lee Curtis and whatnot. This is such an emotional story about motherhood and just the multiverse, and has all these aspects to it. It is by far the best multiverse movie of the year, and it is one of the most satisfying experiences I've had all year. It goes so far into how crazy it gets with the fight sequences and the performances and the ideas it had. It doesn't shy away from it, and it's so creative and unique that it makes sure that you don't have an idea on where this is going to go. It always pulls the rug out from under you at every point it can take. And I was invested from start to finish. It is a beautiful tale. It made me really emotional and sad at points, because it's a very beautiful and heartfelt, sincere story with these characters. And by far, this is the best multiverse movie of all time. And I cannot imagine how anything's going to top this, because how it brought it to life is beautiful. Michelle Yeoh delivers her all-time best performance of this movie, and the action sequences are fantastic. It's creative, it's unique. I love the visuals and the cinematography, and the Daniels directed this movie so well. It's one of the best directed films of the year, one of the biggest surprises of the year, and for just the amount of money they had to make it, it surprises me, because Everything Everywhere All at Once is a masterpiece. It is probably my favorite A24 movie alongside The Lighthouse, but this movie is spectacular, and I hope you guys will go check it out, because Everything Everywhere All at Once never left my mind. It's one of the best movies I've seen all year, and I bet for years to come this will be regarded as this masterpiece and this classic for all time, because it truly is. In second place is The Batman. I've been waiting for The Batman for a very long time. It's the first live-action Batman movie since The Dark Knight Rises 10 years ago, and I've been waiting for it for so long, and I was hoping that it was going to be a big slam dunk for DC, and it was. It is my favorite DC movie for like the past couple of years. Matt Reeves brings Batman in this version of Gotham City to life in a spectacular fashion. Robert Pattinson is the best live-action Batman, in my opinion. I love his performance so much. He really captured what I expected from Batman and Bruce Wayne during his second year as the character in the movie. Everybody else across the board is fantastic, from Jeffrey Wright and Zoe Kravitz, Colin Farrell, Andy Serkis, Paul Dano, John Turturro. Everybody here is so well crafted. Every character gets a lot of development. We get to see things in very different ways here, and so as the fact that it really explores a lot of aspects about Batman that we didn't get in other Batman movies till now, and so as the fact that it has my favorite iteration of Gotham City in live action. It really captures that. This is a horrible place to be in. Nobody would want to be here. And so as being the city that's full of crime and darkness, and it's bleak and it's beautiful. It reminds me of Batman the Animated Series, and Michael Giacchino's score is perhaps my favorite of the entire year. It's so fantastic, and the action sequences here, when we get them, are really good. But it's an engaging and thrilling movie where throughout the runtime I was never bored. I was engaged with trying to see the story of Batman trying to solve all these clues left behind by the Riddler, as he not only tries to catch the Riddler, who's been killing people left and right from the higher-ups in Gotham, but also him learning about the underworld of Gotham and learning about a lot of things that he did not realize. And it is a compelling movie. It is by far my favorite comic book movie of the entire year. It's the one that landed the most for me. It's one of the most rewatchable movies of the year for me, and every time I watch it, I like it even more. And it is just everything I want from a Batman movie. It's focused on Batman. I love the detective story side of things. It feels like a detective noir film, which I really appreciate. It really gives Batman the name of world's greatest detective, where even if some things should have played out differently, I was so invested in what they've done with this iteration of Batman, and I love the story and the characters, and how it brings everything to life. It is everything I want from a Batman movie and so much more, and it is my second favorite Batman movie behind The Dark Knight. And with Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson, I am so excited to see the future of this iteration of Batman in Gotham City with the Batman 2, and I am so optimistic for the future because the Batman is a slam dunk for me. It is now that time to talk about my number one favorite movie of the year. The one movie that really shocked me the most. It's the one that really stuck with me so much after I first saw it, and I absolutely loved it. It is a movie that I was always really excited for, and it surpassed every single one of my expectations to a really high degree. And that movie is Morbius. Morbius is absolutely peak. This is a movie that shocked me the most. With Michael Morbius, the story of him becoming the living vampire, with fantastic performances from Jared Leto and Matt Smith, and this movie blew me away. It reminds me of comic book movies of what once was, and it had some beautiful storytelling, really satisfying ending, and by far my favorite scene of the entire year, with Milo dancing.
Have sex, excel.
Be real, is this really my number one favorite movie of the year? No, definitely not, because in first place is Top Gun Maverick. This movie has been in development for such a long time. It kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed, but it came out at the perfect time for blockbusters. It is by far the best blockbuster to come out this year. I love the performances from Tom Cruise and Miles Teller, Jennifer Connelly and Glenn Powell. Everybody in the cast was fantastic all across the board. But what really stuck out to me so much was this story about Maverick trying to train these group of pilots for this really dangerous mission, while also dealing with the relationship with Rooster and so as face the ghost of his past. It is a very compelling story. It is by far the best paced movie of the year, where rewatching it, I was shocked at how fast it moves because I was never bored throughout. It told the entire story perfectly. It's one of the best looking movies I've seen all year. And so as the aerial craft scenes with the planes, it's incredible how practical this was. The actors really dedicated so much time and passion to make this movie the best version of itself it can possibly be, and it soars because Top Gun Maverick looks amazing. It had scenes with the team playing volleyball on the beach that makes you feel so good and happy about yourself. And then it gets to scenes where you're on the edge of your seat with an anxiety-inducing third act where I was so scared for the fate of our characters and the situations at hand. Top Gun Maverick's masterfully directed by Joseph Kosinski with his magnum opus movie in the form of Top Gun Maverick, and it has a fantastic score, and so as being a very compelling story with a lot of heart, it does fan service and nostalgia right. It's one of the best uses of it I've ever seen in a movie, and so as being a very beautiful story with Tom Cruise's Maverick once again, and it is a sequel that's even better than the original, as good as it was. And this is by far one of the greatest legacy sequels of all time, one of the best movies of the year, but it is my favorite movie of the year for that very reason, because I love Top Gun Maverick. I cannot get enough of it. Every time I watch it, I love it even more than I did the last time. And Top Gun Maverick is a movie that came out at the perfect time for movies, and I'm so glad we finally got it, because Tom Cruise once again delivers one of the best sequels I've ever seen, and without a doubt he delivered with Top Gun Maverick, my favorite movie of the year. So in the end, in first place is Top Gun Maverick. That's my top 10 favorite movies of 2022. What's your favorites of the year? Let me know down below in the comment section. I'd love to see your ranking of your favorites. And thank you guys so much for tuning in for yet another year with me. You guys helped make this possible. I love talking about movies and shows, and so I was just doing all of these little videos from you for reviews or rankings or trailer reactions. You guys made each and every one of it possible, and my channel has grown a lot since I started last year, and I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. You guys have made this possible, and I'm so excited for you guys to join with me in 2023 next year. I hope we can continue to grow this little community and channel that I've helped start, and you guys are the one that is helping me grow this channel, make it even better than before, and make it even more exciting. And I want to thank every one of you for following along with me on this journey. I hope you guys will stay tuned for next year. And I love each and every one of you that are watching this channel and this video right now. And I hope you guys are having a wonderful holidays and a happy new year as we head into 2023 and say adios to 2022. So I just want to say thank you guys so much. And I hope you guys will stick around for another year and whatever's to come next. And don't forget to follow me on social media. My username is down below at the bottom of the screen and in the description below. So please go do that while you're at it. And thank you guys once again so much for watching. And I hope you guys will stay tuned for what's to come next in 2023 for my channel very soon. And don't forget to hit that like button and the subscribe button. And stay tuned for more.